Having lived through 2020, I've seen a lot of people claim that it's the worst year in history. And while it may be no S on the tier list, it's certainly not as bad as some of the years we've seen in the past as a species. Now, a quick Google search is going to tell you that 536 is the worst year in history, and for perhaps the first time in history, YouTube doesn't disagree on this issue. In order to understand why 536 was particularly bad, we have to go to the yet undiscovered Iceland. Iceland. Look at all that natural beauty. Completely untouched by people. The pristine wildlife. A perfect ecosystem. Here's an idea. Let's get a ground view of this majestic landscape. Iceland's geography had just done a little bit of trolling. I wonder if they could see the trolling from Europe. That's some awfully ominous fog. But at this point, your average 536 peasant isn't really going to care. They've got more important things to deal with, and God will probably fix it anyways. Fast forward to April 22nd, and the Pope's dead. It's also getting a lot darker outside.
Wait a minute. Uh-oh.
お前はもう死んでいる。何？もうあたくびでギゼブ。
The volcanic eruption in Iceland had thrown up a lot of debris into the atmosphere, and it was blocking out the sun's light. Now, sunlight is helpful for a lot of things, one of them being growing crops, so this year's harvest was about to suck. Little known fact here, sunlight provides warmth, and with much of its light blocked, it started to get cold. How cold, you ask? Here's a picture of some snow. Can you guess where it's from? England? Russia? Not this time. If you guessed China, in the middle of August, congratulations. Now, crops are usually not supposed to have ice, so can you guess how this affected the harvest in 536? The answer? Well, let's just say it's a good thing Isaac Newton wasn't sitting under an apple tree in 536, because our greatest scientific mind would have most likely suffered a concussion. Okay, so it's pretty well established that nobody is making any new food, and if you don't have dried food stored somewhere, you're out of luck. And that might mean that the only things on the menu are your planting seeds and work animals. And that's like the modern day equivalent of withdrawing all your money from a bank, throwing it in a fire to keep warm, waking up the next day, and eating your car. Now, if there was even a single person forced to munch down on their Toyota Corolla in 2020, I would be willing to move the entire year down a notch on the tier list. Congratulations, the year is over and you didn't starve to death. And besides, it really wasn't that bad anyway. The Plague of Justinian is still like 5 years away. Wait, the what? So you survived 536. Want to know your prize? Well, if you live in Eastern Europe, it's a 25% chance of dying. Actually, this plague kinda went on for a long time, until it finally went away for good in 750.
Oh my god!
That is until it came back in 1349, and literally Thanos snapped Europe. Well, with the exception of Poland for some reason.
He needs some milk!
Mountains usually look like, you know, mountains. So why does Mount Tambora have a giant hole on top? Allow me to show you in the form of an artist rendering and some recorded audio. This meant that people in 1816 weren't exactly able to get their tan on, as it's known as the year without a summer. Oh, and the explosion totally floored 100,000 people, so that's not very good either. Remember when I said that you two finally agreed on something? Well, I'm here to ruin that, because the worst year ever is 72,000 BC-ish. You see, around the year 72,000 BC, the Toba supervolcano exploded, and literally everybody died. Well, not quite everybody, considering we're still here, but there was only like a few thousand people left, so I rest my case. This is the worst year ever.